Watching.
Also on today's show, the flying vicar. He was fined last week for flying too low with this contraption.
Great.
Steve Watley's got a better idea for him to get around, and it's used by virtually all the top British rock bands. Come in, John.
Yeah.
A contraption over London. We think this is a bit safer, and we're going to give you 50 quid towards your church fund if you can ride one, OK?
OK.
We've got the slalom for you.
But we want you to come back and tell us the story of why you got onto that thing and flew above the roofs of Salisbury, OK? You'll come back later?
I'd be glad to.
Just after 11 o'clock.
You're
preaching the word of God.
Indeed.
And it all went horribly wrong.
I wasn't preaching the word of God, though, but that was my intention.
You're famous.
Oh,
You're famous.
Now
Okay.
you can have a go on these.
I've got to put my helmet on. Can I leave
yes,
my Bible?
leave your Bible.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Now, I think this one here looks the best one.
All right.
So
Which is the petrol one. This is
Yeah.
the go-ped. This is the most affordable.
Right, let's go for
Is
this.
he now to start
Switch
it?
that one off.
He's off.
That
There he
looks
is, he's
very
on.
vulnerable.
He's got to go. You've got to go through the slalom. What are you doing?
I've given him 50 quid
I know.
already.
You shouldn't have
given
given it
him
to
50
him. Right, go
quid
on
up
through the
front.
slalom. Yes, yes, yes.
Come unto me, all you are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest, says the Lord. Take my yoke upon you. My yoke is easy, and my burden is light.
£50 is yours. And a sermon as well, free sermon. OK, we'll see you after the news, all right? You tell us all about it. Yeah?
Nobody could have failed to have seen these headlines last week.
OK,
about
regular
evangelical preacher John Holme, who crash-landed his paramotor in the middle of a housing estate in Salisbury. We'd been on holiday. It was the talk of the plane when we were coming back. The pilots thought it was hilarious. Before we meet him, here he is in action. We've only just got these pictures. I've not seen them yet. But apparently it is actual footage of this mad flight. Here we go. Now, at the court case, which happened last week, it all came out in its glorious detail. What you got altitude. What you wanted to do, you wanted to preach to the unbelievers on the local estate, and you felt that is this true that if you flew above them with a megaphone in this thing, they might think it was the voice of God? Did you actually say that?
Well, no. I was joking with the reporter who came to the court.
Joke with the press.
Of course, if I was above the clouds, then they wouldn't be able to see me. But I would actually be breaking another law because you're not allowed to fly one of these things
above the clouds.
Clear visibility. This was my maiden flight, and
we know, yes.
and I hadn't had any experience of flying one of these things before. I didn't have a megaphone with me. My intention, my ambition, really, was to preach the gospel. I'll preach the gospel anywhere, including on.
You thought it was
It's novel. I mean,
novel.
yeah, it beats a
good for
sandwich
you.
board saying the end is nigh. It's different.
All methods are appropriate. It's not the method; it's the message that's
Where
important.
did you get the idea from, actually?
Well, actually, a hot air balloon was what I originally thought would be a good idea. But of course, you're a little bit restricted because you only go where the wind takes you.
Exactly.
But now, of course, I can fly round hot air balloons with this preaching, and they only go where.
Well, anyway, getting back to the court case, you were fined what, £1,050?
It was with cost. It was £1,300.
This is for breaking CAA flying guidelines. I mean, you didn't do any damage or anything, but I mean, you were actually breaking the law, weren't you? You were flying too low, and you were flying in a populated area, and you can't do that. That's naughty.
That's right. I didn't intend to fly over houses. I went downwind when I shouldn't have, too close to the houses.
Yeah.
I just couldn't get over them, so I went between them.
See, what they were saying, I read all this in the paper, it does sound funny, although thank God you didn't hit anything, because you probably wouldn't be here.
He answered prayers.
You must have been
Absolutely.
petrified as well.
No, because before I took off, I just felt I needed to pray for courage. I don't know why, but I did. And my fellow believers were there, friends of mine, and we prayed together.
Yes.
And when I was actually flying between the houses, I guess my face must have registered some sort of fear, but I was actually at peace in my heart, and it was an amazing experience.
You see, let's get this clear. What happened was you took off, and you flew towards this estate, and the problem is, as I understand it from the court case, the estate's built on a hill.
Correct.
Obviously going upwards.
That's right.
So you were gaining height, but
Yes.
only at the same level as the hill went up.
Yeah.
So you never actually got any higher from the ground. So you were going between gardens, and did I
Just clear of the fences, and it was like a chicane, because at new estates they don't build them in rows, they build them at angles, so you don't see into each other's gardens.
So you were heading for walls and things, and bird tables, and having to sort of arch your body up and twist it
No,
down?
I had to lift my feet to clear the trees, but I'm not aware of having to lift them. I may have, but I mean, it was
Apparently people
happening.
in various houses did see a look of glazed horror on
Yes.
your face, quite naturally.
I mean, one woman was making a cup of tea, apparently. She looked out of the kitchen window, and you see this guy comes past at, like, naught altitude.
And it was
There
very
you go.
loud, because my wife could hear me 2 miles away.
What, screaming, or do you mean the
No,
the motor?
the engine.
Oh, I see.
What's even more amazing is that you've got back on it since, haven't you, John?
Yes, my second flight was 30 miles. I flew from Salisbury to Winchester, about 2,500 feet, so I was well clear of everything.
Right. That's you when you've landed. You actually managed to swerve into a field, didn't you? You didn't crash land, actually.
I didn't crash. I landed where I
landing.
took off, and
Right.
for the majority of the flights, I was in complete control.
Right. Now, you say you've been on another flight, 2,500 feet. That's presumably for fun. What about the preaching bit? Are you going to go back to that idea? Are you going to get a megaphone and try it?
Well, I'm a preacher, and I want the gospel to be preached in any way that can be. I believe that the Times are trying to find an airship for me at the moment, which is
Times
ideal.
newspaper?
The Times newspaper, because the advantage of that is you can stop, you can hover.
That's right.
And at the right height, then I'd love to go across Europe, really bringing all the churches together and sharing God's love, because He loves people.
Isn't
so
there a
much.
problem, though?
In what
Well,
sense?
like, OK, say you were Jehovah's Witness,
Right.
and you say, no, thank you. Shut the door.
Okay.
But if you're hovering above us and you're not
Yes.
moving with the megaphone or whatever, we can't say no.
I remember once standing opposite a bus queue in Salisbury, and I had my megaphone and I was preaching to the bus queue, and someone said, "This isn't fair, we can't go anywhere." But, you know, I would rather offend people now and then go to heaven for eternity than just to let them die in their sin and go to hell. And that's more important to me than people not liking me.
He's going
That'll do.
for it. I
Okay.
love anybody with that motivation.
Well,
It's wonderful.
Good luck.
God's changed my
Yeah.
life. Radically.
OK,
Bon
we're
chance.
taking a break now, and we're back in a couple of minutes with Brian Turner and an Irish classic, plus fashion, putting on the glitz. See you then.